Nestled deep in the foothills of the Watchung Mountains, overlooking Lake Boca Moonshine, it's our friend, our colleague, and our periodic co-host.
Thanks for that wonderful intro. Love it.
Well, you can't just introduce somebody and be like, yo, he's here. I mean, it's...
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I'm glad that you put the effort into it.
Hey, this is what we do here in the tower, it's not really a tower, but,
Well, let's make people think it is.
Yeah, exactly. We were talking about Brooklyn eateries the other day. We had this crazy, I want to call it like a text war almost, because I feel like if you turn on the TV and you watch Anthony Bourdain, or if you watch, they're just not giving it to people. And it's not their fault. They're not from there. I'm not from China. I don't know the local, scene. So it's the same thing. It's like, when you grow up in Brooklyn, you really know. I'm talking about stuff not in Williamsburg, not what is today. I'm talking about when you grew up in the 1970s, the 80s, or even before that.
Well, for us, yeah. I think when we really started to learn about these places is probably the back end of the 80s when, we started to, get our cars and, not just be able to, leave our blocks on our bikes. It's when we finally got cars and we started to explore.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and it just becomes, it's normal because you these are the things and places you do and you use every day. So it's just like, it's a normal thing for you, like anywhere else. But I'll tell you, man, that was some fun stuff. We were talking about, if anybody's out there who really grew up in Brooklyn, we're talking about Canarsie, Bensonhurst, Bay Ridge,
No Basin,
yeah. Right. It's like KP. You're talking about the KP Diner. Anthony Bourdain's not going to show you that. And it's not that the KP Diner was something special. We're just dropping these kind of names because we did grow up there and they were hangouts. They were places of memory. And, yeah, maybe this podcast is appealing to those people who can relate. But, man, you talked about, like, I was telling you about, like, eateries and stuff like that. And you started throwing, like, Trader Horn at me and stuff. I'm like,
Trader Horn. No, you threw Trader Horn.
I did.
I didn't remember that one at all.
I had to throw Trader Horn in there. I mean, the appliance and electronics depot, which was like
right.
Two crazy storefronts combined.
Right. A competitor to Crazy Eddie.
Today you walk Crazy Eddie. We'll get to him in a second. Today you walk into Best Buy, it looks like an airport hangar. It's just like gigantic. And I mean, back in the day, we went to freaking Nobody Beats the Wiz on Flatbush Avenue.
Right across the street from Kings Plaza.
But man, I want to talk to you about, like, what was your favorite? I don't know. People think I'm crazy because what I'm going to mention to you right now is more for, like, it was always like kind of assigned to, like, going out drinking, and that's when you do it.
I know where you're going.
But yeah. I'm going 3:00 in the afternoon, broad daylight, man. I'm down for Lenny and John's. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, it's still there. I challenge you to tell me that what they have now is what it used to be, because I don't think it is.
They do not. You're talking about as far as furnishings and things like that?
Well, not just as far as, what it used to be. I mean, it used to be just some hole in the wall. We used to go in with the greasy tables and the greasy counter.
No
and
more.
The rocker guy with the long hair would serve you your slice at 3:00 in the morning. It's a little more upscale now.
No more. Yeah, exactly.
but with upscale decor. I don't know whether they've changed owners or whatever, but I don't know. That pizza just isn't. I don't know. Maybe it's just because every time I'd go in there, I'd be loaded, and the pizza would just taste that much good. But I don't think it packs the same punch as it did, say, 20 years ago.
And if you're loaded, it wouldn't matter. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing that you bring that up. It's really funny. I was over there. By the way, to those of you outside the area who didn't grow up there, Lenny and John's is obviously a pizza place. They sell rice balls. They sell chicken rolls. They sell, calzones. Your normal New York pizza place, but it's near the bars on Flatbush Avenue. So you go out, you get, like Murph said, you go out, you get loaded. You go to Lenny and John's. They're open till like 4:00 in the morning when the bar shut down, or 3:00 was it? Whatever. But you're right. Back to your point. When I was there in October, it was the first time I was back.
So you did go in October. I didn't know that you went.
Yeah, I was back there for the first time in, oh my God, man, 15 years.
Yeah, you didn't recognize it though, did you?
To me, the sign didn't really throw me off at first, but when I walked in, I was completely shocked. It goes more to what you was about leading up to. And what that is back in the day, to you guys out there, we'd walk in there. There's like these white tables. There was the old guy. He was his sons and employees and stuff like that. The counter was on your left when you walked in. You made a right into the door if you were parked like on the side of the street, and you walk in, and the counter was kind of like on your left if you were walking in that way. and everything seemed white, powder on the, powdery, like you could tell it was like pizza place. There were like 2 or 3 tables, and the old man was in the back stirring the sauce with a huge, humongous wooden spoon,
Giant pots.
big, huge pots. And with a huge wooden spoon and all this stuff. And sometimes I'd go in there with my rice bowl. I'm like, oh, I got to get a little extra sauce. And the old man would take the ladle and put the sauce in there. All of that's gone now.
No, gone. All the health violations are gone. Well, mostly.
Now, now, now you've got like these new everything's on the right and the counter, and I feel like they moved stores or something. They might have taken new space. There's more tables. It's fancier. They kind of made it look like what Originals years ago did. Originals used to be kind of a dive years ago on Avenue L. Then they opened Originals 2 in your neck of the woods, closer to Mill Basin, kind of
by Georgetown Shopping Center,
like the old Basin, I guess they call it, right?
Yeah, right at that cutoff between Old Mill Basin and like Bergen Beach,
Ralph Avenue and Avenue N. So
right.
And I was like, wait a minute. I remember that same feeling, but this is going back 15, when we're 15, 16 years old, or 17 years old. You got your driver's license. You had friends in Mill Basin, so you're out there, and you're like, wait, Originals 2? Now Originals 2 looked like a fancier place. The one on Avenue L looked like a dive back in the day, and then they redid the one on the L too. They opened I think they moved spaces, actually. They took like a bigger store and knocked 2 stores out, and they turned it into like a whole family could go out to dinner to a restaurant,
Right.
But Lenny and John's looks completely different.
It does, and the pizza is not the same, because last time when my parents, I was over at my parents' house when they sold it, sometime in the beginning of December, I went over there for the last time and stopped in for a slice because I was passing by, and I was like, let me stop in, let me see if it is anything, like it used to be, and it wasn't. It was good, but just, I don't know, it wasn't the same.
You expect change over time, but then, I'll give you another place that's
but you want to know something? Some things are staples. Like you go to L&B over in Bensonhurst, that slice has been the same as long as I can remember. Even if I go now, it's the same thing. That square slice where the sauce and the cheese are reversed. You got the cheese on the bread first, and then you got the load of sauce on top, and then all the Parmesan.
Wow.
It's always been like that. It has never changed.
I'm like kind of excited right now.
Of course you are, because let's face it. Where else are you going to find an L&B slice like that? There are places. When I was living in Staten Island, there was a place in Staten Island that actually, was copying the L&B slice.
But what's crazy? After almost 20 years, you go back and like Rollin' Roaster looks exactly the same and tastes exactly the same. You go on Sheepshead Bay.
Listen, I don't know where they get their cheese sauce for those fries, but they haven't changed it, and it's a good thing they haven't, because I'll bathe myself in that.
If
sauce.
you could lay on a table and I could guzzle that into your mouth, would you accept that procedure?
But listen, while I'm sitting in a tub full of hot cheese sauce, soaking it in. Come on, dump a whole friggin' case of fries into that tub with me. I'll soak in the cheese, eat the fries while somebody pours that hot, drippy, cheesy sauce down my throat.
Unbelievable. It's
spicy good.
It is spicy good. The thing is too, it's like I can't understand. A simple thing like that plastic clear cup with the iced tea and the orange slice in it. If I go home and try to make that, it doesn't taste like Rollin' Roasters. There's got to be something in that plastic cup that gives it like a secret flavor or something.
People say it has to do with the water in New York. I'm sure that has part to do with it. Same thing with the pizza. When they make the dough, they use the New York City water. I think that is part of it. But I don't know. I think it's also I don't know. It's just like a certain ambiance that you get in there, and I don't know whether it doesn't add to the flavor of the food, but I don't know. It's just an overall feeling.
Is it the brown pantyhose that the girls wear? I don't know.
It could be the brown stained, mustard colored uniforms.
Unbelievable. I could never put my finger on the trigger of what exactly got me involved in Rollin' Roasters so deeply.
I know. Were you one of the guys that used to, you go in there and you order like 6 different things? We have a friend. You remember? He would go in there and his eyes would be so much bigger than his appetite. And he would go in and he would order cheese fries. He'd order chicken fingers. He'd order mozzarella sticks.
Oh, yeah.
And he'd order a hot beef.
And he handled it.
He would sit down and he would eat, and he would regret it at the end. Because
he regretted it, but he never threw anything away. I've been in there when he's done that, and I was with him in there.
Not even the sauce. He would take the chicken fingers and he would dip it in the cheese sauce that came for the fries. He'd be soaking up all the juice from the sandwiches. Hoofing down fried mozzarella. Oh, my God. This guy would order so much food.
There's nothing like having the menu on your table, though. Everything
I
off the
know.
menu, like just right there. I don't know what
Right.
there's a certain appeal. There's a thing that even we who grew up there in that neighborhood in those areas cannot understand what it is. It tastes good, so that's first and foremost. But the other thing is that there's something about going in there and saying, I want the roast beef, but I want a burger. I want, those round fries, but I also want chicken fingers.
Oh, that's right. I forgot the fries were round.
Oh,
That's right. I forgot about that. Listen, did you even? I don't think you know that they had a drive-through.
I did know that, and I didn't
But I've
learn.
never-
I didn't
I-
learn it till years later.
I never once used it because part of the whole deal about going there was going there.
Yeah, but it's not a drive-through like that McDonald's, like how they set up the drive-through so it's convenient. You go around in a parking lot, one car's behind you, there's plenty of space. If you were ever one of those people who did find out about and I think nobody in Brooklyn actually knew there was a drive-through really, but if you ever did try to go through the drive-through, chances are the bumper of your car hit the dumpster in the back of the store.
Right.
It wasn't set up for a drive-through. It was kind of like a booby trap of some sort.
Well, like they blasted a hole in the wall,
Right.
put a window there, and you drive up to it, and somebody'd stick their head out and say, "What do you need?"
Right. There's no microphone even. The guy just sticks his head out.
No, you just talk through a hole in the wall.
Yeah, and if he, and it's not like it's not like Sonic where the girl comes out and roll, like in
Oh, no,
California.
that's high class.
Yeah,
That's
she
high
comes out on
class.
roller skate. There's none of that. Nobody's gonna. There's some McDonald's in Florida where the girl will come out where it's really like they get really busy, and she'll ask you, or like some other fast food chain, if you could pull into that parking spot, and she'll actually walk the food out to you. I've never in my life experienced something like that in Brooklyn, but with Roll Roaster, you have to catch your food if you went through the drive-through. I was told, like, if they dump it out the window and you missed, out of luck.
Right. And you better grab that greasy bag really quick because if you let it sit too long, that grease is just going to deteriorate the bag. All your food's going to fall out onto your lap.
No doubt. When I was valet parking in the Manhattan Beach, Sheepshead Bay area for catering when I was a kid, I got my license, stuff like that. I was always
Where
at
did you
Roll
valet park?
for it like Sheepshead Bay and the catering halls and like Manhattan
okay.
Beach
Right,
and
right,
stuff
right,
like
yeah.
that. And park cars. So what we would do is once everybody got inside the event, we would, we'd basically be sitting around, doing nothing. So we'd go get some eats. So we hit right away when I was working in Manhattan Beach, you hit Roll Roaster. And even then, you walked in when you went there for Five Guys. I'll make the run because you want to make sure you get everything. Some idiot won't forget what you wanted. So I'd make the run, and I get like for 5 or 6 guys, and you get like $1,000 worth of food. Even back then, I didn't know there was a freaking drive-through, and I was valet parking. I don't think anybody goes.
Right.
I don't think you can get past that on a 10-speed.
No, it's tough, that's for sure. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, this is a place that I remember less about, but I can't forget it at the same time. Brennan Carr. You remember
man.
that place.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that place, right? I mean, it's a roast beef place. Brennan Carr, I felt, was more sit-down restaurant food than the Roll Roaster, which you would consider more of like a fast food joint.
Right, exactly. It's a classier, upscale environment.
If you want to call it that. I mean, you go in, everything is wood. The menu is there's very small menu, not a lot of stuff on the menu.
Oh, it's the simplest menu in the world.
Yeah, I mean, but nothing to like sitting, getting those fries and getting that hot beef and cheese, or you get the roast beef dip where they would bring you over the coffee cup full of au jus,
The gravy
in there.
Oh.
And then what was weird about that place when you first walked in, it was almost like you're walking into a bar, like a dive, like a dive bar.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you walk past the dive bar, and then you get into the seating area.
Yeah, if that decor was set up any other part of the country, you would think you're like on the side of the road at like a truck stop. But for some reason, on freaking on Avenue U, it's on Avenue U, right?
Yeah.
So on Avenue U, you walk in, it's like it's like an upscale Roll Roaster. But then when you sit in there, you're like, it's not. But it's just the way you're served. It's the simplicity of the menu, and it's the great food. I mean, I think they opened one out on Long Island too because it's so good.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
I think so. I'm not sure if I'm correct about that, but I know because it's like what they did with Luger's, and that kind of thing. Everybody just wants like a second copy of it out in the burbs. But I think there is a Brendan Carr out somewhere at Nassau County. But and I was actually at it one time.
Oh, by the way, it's not Avenue U, it's Nostrand Avenue.
Nostrand Avenue.
Nostrand Avenue, right around Avenue, right near Gravesend Neck Road.
Yeah. Such an awesome like grub place. I mean,
I mean, you go in there, you got the they had that brick fireplace with that old like greasy wood around it,
exactly.
and they had those like wood tables like with all the urethane all over it, and that would wobble because they were never even. The floor was never even. You'd sit there and you have to watch your gravy in a coffee cup. Table got too wobbly, you'd be spilling it all over the table.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's like Rollin' Roaster on steroids because you get a plate instead of a tray that was glass. It's like,
Right.
but
Right.
but really, I mean, oh man, Rollin' Roaster any given time of the day. I mean, it's just something. And I'll tell you too, there's another thing people don't realize. Like when you're growing up, there were these things called specials. You go to the bagel store anywhere in Brooklyn, on Avenue N, on Avenue L, on if it's especially the bakery on Flatlands Avenue, where they pretty much distributed for the entire the boroughs, pretty much for Manhattan in some cases. And you go in there, you're coming home from a club or a bar at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, you're coming home from the city, you jump down Flatlands Avenue, you get yourself a hot bialy right out of the oven. There's nothing in there. There's no fancy. There's nothing.
No.
I mean, they had some quicks. In the refrigerator, you could buy eggs in there. You buy a tub of butter if you forgot the butter, and there was there was flour everywhere. There was no tables. This is a bakery we're talking about.
Right. Yeah. You walk in, counter, and just piles of different kinds of bread.
Counter and get out, they didn't. I don't even think they put the bialys in baskets because they didn't want them to cool down. You ordered one. That thing was burning hot, steaming. The guy took it, slapped it open, put some like a pound of cream cheese or butter on there. You went across the street. You did a U-turn, an illegal U-turn at 3 a.m. at the Optimo across the street. You got yourself a Yoo-hoo and a bag of Funyuns. But you're in for about $1.75, and you would just like
easy, right?
Unless you got two of them,
right? But that's when bagels are like 50 cents. I mean, it was like and I don't know. You have less and less places like that these days. I mean, I don't know. I think bagels are not nearly as good as they used to be.
Well, it's just like in general, it's like New York City itself, just the Times Square alone and things like that. Everything completely changed. And I think a lot of the elements that we're discussing here, even though Roland Roaster and Brendan Carr is still alive, thank God, a lot of that like more underground 3 o'clock in the morning, get a bagel right out of the oven. I think that's gone now. Another place that's, if you want to change gears a little bit, sandwiches, Sonny's Heroes.
Yeah.
92nd Street, right past Flatlands on the right-hand side. I believe at one point they moved. They used to be on, I think it was like Conklin or something like that, but they moved in the late 90s, early 2000s. You got to forgive me on the time frame. Oh, man. You go in there, you get a fresh mutz, provolone, or some kind of, you get like an Italian, forget about it. I mean, just unbelievable. And sometimes you'd have to wait because there's a lot of like industrial area over there, and like truck drivers stop off. But that sandwich, man, before I left for the airport, I ate it in the rental right outside. I parked by the stop sign. I had like a hard salami provolone with vinegar peppers on there. I mean, I was licking my fingers in that car. And I'll tell you, give me some other spots that you were obscure, like that you really miss when you were a kid.
Okay, all right. Well, here's one because it's one of the earliest memories I have of going. I mean, but actually there are two, and I'll mention both of them. But the first one is in Bay Ridge, the Lamps of China.
The Lamps of China.
Never went to the Lamps of China.
I may have, but I really the name.
The thing that makes me remember because I remember one of the first restaurants I ever remember going out to dinner with my family with, and I remember going there, and I was I was a kid. I wasn't like big on Chinese food, but I would go in there, and my father would say get the menu, and the woman would say can I get you drinks or any appetizers? And he says yeah. He goes, here's what we're gonna do, give us the poo-poo platter.
Nice.
And I look at him like what the poo-poo platter.
Just the name alone, you freaked out. You weren't sure.
Poo-poo platter. Right. So then the woman would go away and she'd come back with this like big wooden like carousel. And in the middle would have, like that stuff that you put in the sternos, that blue gel.
Yeah.
They would put the blue gel into the middle of this thing. And
fire.
They would light it on fire.
Yeah.
And then you would take these like little sticks and you would like,
Yep.
skewer yourself a piece of like, teriyaki beef. And you would take it and you would like hold it over the fire and you would cook it up and everything. And
sterno chemicals on it and everything.
Exactly. Sterno chemicals on it, everything. They didn't give a crap.
Beautiful.
But I mean, I'll never forget that place. This place is closed long ago. This place is closed a long time ago. But it's one of the very first restaurants that I remember going to, and I do miss that place. I'll never forget. As a kid, you didn't eat. I didn't eat too much Chinese food, but I remember like really what I would go for would be the roast pork fried rice, and because that was the only thing I would get, they would bring me this giant bowl, like with a mountain of rice, that I'd eat and eat and eat. But when I was done, it looked like I hardly made a dent in it because it was so much rice in that bowl.
Incredible. Incredible.
half of the rice was falling off the edge onto the table.
All over the
You know,
place on your lap.
yeah, the Chinese waitresses would come over and they'd give me this look because half the bowl of rice was all over the table and they'd have to clean it up.
Right. They would like totally like, they would give you like a demeaning look, like you slob.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
American slob, come in here like that.
right.
You
And then
know,
the other place that I remember going to a lot as a kid, it was the very first Italian restaurant that I ever went to, and this is a really obscure place, and most people aren't going to know. But this place called Calero's.
oh yeah.
Do you remember Calero's
Well,
on Coney Island
that's where
Avenue?
they filmed the part of Goodfellas in there.
Something was filmed in there. Exactly. That was. I think they put that restaurant on fire in the film.
Yeah, that was the Bamboo Lounge, they called it.
yes. That's
Yeah.
the place.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget. I mean, as a kid, my
That was a nice restaurant, though, from what I'm.
yeah, it was nice. I mean,
Yeah.
but it's funny because all the years that we would go there, I would always get baked ravioli.
Wow, just baked ravioli.
I mean, these
You had me at baked ravioli.
Do I have to say any more? I mean, it was
Wow.
the only thing I ate, but
Wow.
it was the most delicious thing I've ever eaten. I would lick that plate
I know.
clean,
Sick.
delicious. But yeah, that place is long gone too, unfortunately.
The other thing that stands out to a lot of people, you hang out. It's not like because anything's great, but they did make it. Depends if they made a good burger or the diners.
Yeah, well, and there's one on like every third corner.
You know, the Floridian Diner. By me, there was the Seaview Diner. They knocked that down. They put condos there. That was
Vegas
the Bel-
Diner, Bay Ridge Diner.
Yeah.
You know,
And then you had by you, closer by where you grew up, was the Arch Diner,
the Arch. Yeah,
right by South Shore High School.
Kings Plaza Diner,
Yeah. The KP, we called it the KP. And then there was the Floridian over on Utica,
right on my corner.
which was basically looked like it was a mirrored building.
Yeah, I don't know if it still is or not. Maybe it is.
It's still there, right?
It's still there. Yeah. Yeah, it's just one of those places you just go to, even if you go for breakfast.
It's a throwdown New York diner, you know?
Yeah, yeah, no nonsense. You
Yeah.
know, when the waiter or waitress comes to your table, they just don't pleasantly place the plate in front of you. They slap it down. Here you go.
Right.
Here's your burger.
Right. If half that little glass cup of coleslaw is hanging half off his sleeve, you're going to eat it.
Right, with all the watery mayo flopping over the edge.
He drops a pickle on the floor, leave it there. The cat will get it.
Exactly. The next thing you know, the dog comes running out of the kitchen looking for the drop pickle.
Oh, no doubt. There's so many drop pickles probably still on that floor. But, I'll tell you something else, too, kills me. Now we got to go into desserts, because for me, it was very simple. Vanilla chip at Ice's Queen on Utica Avenue. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Anything from Ice's Queen, actually. I wasn't all that big into the cream ices. Which
No, I didn't like
vanilla
that.
chip was.
I don't care for that.
I was more about the classic rainbow.
Yes.
You
Combo.
you get your cherry. It's got the maraschino cherries chopped up, and you got a couple of remnants of those hanging out in there every once in a while when you take a lick.
Oh, yeah.
Those kind of things. Watermelon.
What'd you do? Did you get like a triple? Did you were you a combination fella?
I like the combos.
What did you do? What was your combo?
I like
Tell
the
me.
combo. Usually, what I would like see if you put rainbow on the bottom. Okay, it was
like an
probably the
extra
best
treat.
because it's already mixed in with all the other flavors.
Yep.
So, like, if the little bit, like, just so you put cherry or blue Hawaii on top.
Blue Hawaii, he
if,
says.
if any, if any of that melted down
Right.
onto the bottom layer, it wouldn't affect the flavor of the rainbow.
And tell me when you were a kid, you didn't chew that cup until you almost swallowed the paper.
Dude, remember how they were pleated
Forget
to kind
it.
of make a cup? I would pull the pleats apart and lick inside the pleats.
Wow, you're an ice animal. I had no clue.
Oh,
I didn't do
animal.
that. I would just chew it. It would turn in, then I would spit up the ball the next day at class.
Would you fold it up and just start sucking on it?
Yeah, I would have that. I'd go to bed with that. Then didn't know it was still in my mouth. In
Yeah, I
school, the
felt
next day,
like-
you're like, pooh, you spit that out.
I felt like if you sucked on it like that, you were leaving some remnants behind.
You were cheating yourself.
So I would open it and
Right.
unfold it.
I feel cheated now.
Don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Think about all the juicy goodness that you left behind.
Man, that's a little depressing. I'll tell you, but when I was a kid, I was like you. I did the double thing. There was Joe's Pizza on the corner, 92nd, and that was such a great pizza place. Old school, man, pinball machine, wasn't fancy, orange tables. You walk in, I could still hear the sound and the ferociousness of him opening that ice chest and scooping that out, and he'd give you rainbow on top. As I got older, I guess your palate, like you get older, you get a little more mature. I started seeing like older kids eating vanilla chip. I'm like, I got addicted to vanilla chip, man. I got like an extra large, just straight up, no combo, vanilla chip, from there on.
See, my problem is even to this day when I go to like an ice specialty place, I there's because there are so many flavors that all sound so good. I have a very hard time deciding. I can't just settle on one. So I gotta admit, I still like to do the combo thing.
I see some weirdos that did like chocolate and lemon. You know, I mean, go
That's
ahead,
that's
whatever
that's
you're
that,
into. But
that
that's
that's too weird to me. Chocolate ice never just tasted
yeah,
like liquid mud.
chocolates. You leave that for ice cream, not ices.
Yeah. So and when that's why I stuck with a lot of the like I said the cherries and the rainbows and the lemons and the watermelons. I stuck with those.
I'll tell you, man. What about ice cream? We mentioned ice cream too, since we're going down this road.
Yeah.
When you were growing up and you were chasing trucks, what were you chasing after the first time you remember in your childhood memories?
This still rings true today. I'm chasing after like Freezer Fresh.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what? You know what happened to me before Freezer Fresh? A short stint with a little old school, I'm talking old school, good humor truck. And then Freezer Fresh came around, and then that was it. That was standard.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Good humor's great. I mean, I call that like prefab ice cream. Because you buy it, it's already prepackaged in a cup.
That's true.
Or you get the bomb pop.
King
Which
Cone.
is all like in a bag, King Cone, like you would just order it off the menu that's on the side of the truck when they would pull up to the sidewalk. And you just order off that menu.
God.
And it comes in a package and you walk away. With the Freezer Fresh guy or Custard King, they'd come around and you'd order off the menu, but like they would actually have like the soft serve ice cream dispenser in the truck, and they would manually put on the sprinkles or the nuts, whatever you get.
You had to attack
and they
it.
hand you an ice cream cone.
Yeah, you had to attack it then and there. That was it. Otherwise, it's dripping down your arm.
Especially in the middle of a Brooklyn
95-degree weather.
95-degree day in August.
I mean, if you didn't start licking that before you gave him the dollar, I mean, it would be all over the floor, drips.
Sprinkles all over your side of your hands.
Yeah, you can't go get ice cream for your friend and have him wait. Everybody hits the truck at the same time. You gotta you eat that top little pointy part. You just attack it before the guy even takes the dollar. That's
right.
The science.
Like it's in your hand and it's like
that's it.
Like that.
Just like
that.
Yeah.
Like that, right?
I mean,
no
doubt.
The funny thing is when you watch the little kids eat them,
no doubt,
they don't give a crap. They don't know how quickly you got to eat it. So by the time they walk to their stoop to sit on their stoop, they sit down, they eat the ice cream cone. You look at them 2 minutes later, there's chocolate sprinkles, there's nuts, there's vanilla, there's chocolate. It's all dripping down their knees, down into their socks, all over the stoop. The ants are coming from it left and right. I mean, but they don't care. Eventually they learn.
They learn the hard way, right?
You can't let that goodness just drip onto the sidewalk and let the ants get it.
It's like a sin. No, of course, of course,
complete sin. But that's what happens when you're a kid. You don't realize.
Of course. And then there was this place too, going back to Good Grub. Like
I know where you're going.
Where am I going?
Going to Jan's.
Jan's is also.
I knew it.
Right? Give the location, because that's more your territory. So
that was over, I think, Gerritsen Avenue.
And I remember the place
right on the corner of Avenue U, was it?
Didn't it open and close like 100 times or something like that too?
A couple of times.
It reopened.
I never. The first time I used to play roller hockey over in Kings Bay, and the first time we ever noticed it, we were coming home from a hockey game, and we noticed this thing going up. I'm like, Jans, what's that? And so we went in, and you could get food there too, but you're going there for dessert.
Right.
You're not. That's really what it was there for. Did you ever? Anybody that ever got that thing on the menu called the kitchen sink?
I heard about that, but I never had it. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just. I mean, I never got it. I never knew anybody that got it. But it would have basically everything on the ice cream menu.
Like 57 different ice cream plates.
and it'd bring a tub to your table.
Oh my God. There's so many things that we're missing right now that because there's only so much you could do on one show, but we're gonna have to definitely address this again. We're gonna have like guests on, friends of their favorites.
Yep.
I want to hear people's. I want to relive it. I want to sit here and mouth water while I drip all over this desk, mouth watering about some of your delicacies, some of the things we forgot about. I mean, if you grew up in my neighborhood, you went to Carl's Deli, you got a great sandwich, a killer sandwich, and since then I could never even find any place on this earth that can duplicate what they gave or even come close to what they produced in a sandwich. You could go home and buy Boar's Head and buy really great bread and make your own sandwich, but there's something about them preparing it for you, put it in that freaking white wax paper, wrapping it up, and sending you out on your way. And you were so happy, you know what I mean, to eat that. Any of the Chinese spots, sandwich spots, pizza places, everybody had their favorites. Come on, man.
I hear you. Listen, we could go on and on and on about the places that we went to, when we were a kid growing up in Brooklyn. I mean, it's it just was just an experience that everybody could have had at some point in their life.
This was
That's what
fun,
it
man.
was.
This was fun.
It was.
We got to wrap this up.
We only touched on a handful.
We only scratched the
places.
surface. That's what I'm saying. We only scratched the surface.
We should do top 10 old time Brooklyn eateries.
Yeah. We have to have some guests. We have to locate some old friends.
Agreed.
And this could be a problem. This could be a 10-part series. There's so many things.
It could be.
Greg Fishman here with Jim Murphy, our periodic co-host once again. And this was fun.